I wanted to open this video up by showing you a few screenshots. Now, I'm going to be honest, these screenshots are from a few days ago. In particular, they're from after the Vancouver Canucks played their opening game against the Oilers. Now, these results and these screenshots might not be all too surprising if you paid attention to what happened in that Oilers game. And of course, with the NHL having a few more days worth of games played after that game, things are a little bit different today versus when I took these screenshots. But after the Vancouver Canucks stomped on the Oilers 8-1, you had yourselves a standing in the NHL that looked like this. Leading the entire NHL in points is a four-way tie with four: Elias Pettersson, Brock Boeser, Mikko Rantanen, and JT Miller. You also had Quinn Hughes in a pretty big tie for 5th place in the NHL's point production. Speaking of Quinn Hughes, he was first amongst all NHL defenders in points because in the first game of the year he had 3 points. That is over the 4 guys who had 2 points: Klingberg, Brady Shea, Cale Makar, and Filip Hronek. So there you go, 2 Canucks on the top defenseman scoring list. For goalies, you had yourselves the top goalie in the entire league being Casey DeSmith, letting in 0 goals in the sample he had played against Edmonton. Furthermore, he was number 1 in save percentage as well, with a 1 flat. Thatcher Demko happened to be 3rd and 4th in both these categories of save percentage and GAA. We got confirmation after the first game that he had been suffering with the flu, and he was dehydrated. He ended up vomiting inside of his mask, which is why Rick Tocchet decided to pull the plug on Demko and give him the rest of the night off, which was okay because the guy was leaving a 7-1 hockey game. It's not like the Canucks had any substantial chance of losing, of course, unless McDavid and Draisaitl went and decided to pop off, which they did not. They decided to take penalties instead. But you also have a few other metrics that I thought were interesting to look at too. Leading the NHL in goals after the first game of the season was, of course, Brock Boeser with 4 goals over Austin Matthews with 3, Rantanen with 2, Mangiapane, Paul Newhook, Pastrnak, and Kucherov each with 2. And then for assists, you had Pettersson, Miller, and Hughes in a big tie with Tavares and Brayden Point for first in the NHL in that respect. So, of course, you could understand that these screenshots were taken at pretty much the best time you could have taken them, after the first game of the season for Vancouver, where so many guys dominated, and this video was being uploaded a few days after, so if you check the NHL point production list, it's probably gonna look a bit different. But the point is, at this time of the season, at the very beginning, things are looking as good as they ever have, and maybe even better. Here's another screenshot from after the Canucks' first game of the season. This is Brock Boeser's Elite Prospect page, taking a look at his 2021-2022 stats, his 22-23 stats, and his stats from this season. You could see that in his 21-22 and 22-23 years, he had 46 and 55 points respectively. Awesome. This season, however, after 1 game played against the Oilers, Brock Boeser has 1 game, 4 goals, and he is on pace for 328 goals. Now, I don't think he's going to get that. I think 300 is pushing it a little bit. If he gets 250, I'll be happy with that. But for Brock Boeser to be in this position where he legitimately took the hockey world by storm, he said to everybody that his off-season training, his off-season preparation, and his conditioning were so much better than anything he has done in the past that now you can't help but wonder, what the hell does this season hold for Brock? Last year, and the few years before that, I think it was a pretty constant pattern that we saw with Brock Boeser and his game that showed off that he wasn't really the hottest starter. Like, as the seasons would go on in Boeser's career, it became a pattern that throughout the first few weeks, first few months of every new year, Boeser just would take a little bit longer to get going. He wouldn't have this immediate goal streak or point streak, putting himself on top of the map. During the Travis Green year, the last one that Green had in 21-22 before Bruce Boudreau was hired. In that season, Brock Boeser was one of the more underperforming forwards on the team. You had guys like Connor Garland taking over immediately. Then Travis Green was fired and Bruce Boudreau came in. That's when Boeser sort of revived his career. So again, one of these situations where Boeser starts out slow and gets a little bit hot afterwards. In the season after, with Bruce Boudreau and inevitably Rick Tocchet, Boeser again came off with a little bit of a slow start. He was not the fastest, he wasn't the most effective. Sure, he could make a few passes once in a while, but his conditioning wasn't there. And it was frustrating because you started to see more rumors popping up saying that he could be open to the idea of a trade, how he would welcome a change of scenery, but towards the end of the season, the Canucks couldn't trade him. But at the same time, the regular old Brock Boeser habit of becoming better at the end of the season showed up too, and he started to end off the year with a pretty good playmaking edge. Now, this offseason, the guy doesn't go to the beauty league. He has a more intensive and focused training regimen that is pretty much given to him by Rick Tocchet. And guess what? For the first time since pretty much his rookie year, Brock Boeser is looking as dangerous as he's ever looked. And he's scoring goals that only the rookie Boeser could have scored. In particular, the first goal against Edmonton, that one-timer, being fed from the corner by JT Miller, where Boeser is on the hash marks and he just blasts it far side top cheese. That is a classic Brock Boeser American Sniper rookie scoring goal. And even the next ones, sure, you could say that one of them went up off a Miller and he had to bat it in. The other one was a shot deflected by a Pettersson pass. That one was really lucky. And then the fourth goal, Boeser was just in the right place at the right time. But at the same time, you have to acknowledge that Boeser being in these positions, putting himself in the right areas to get those dirty goals, to get those lucky goals, and to get those backdoor tap-in goals, all while reigniting that wrist shot of his. Plus, you see the smile this guy has on his face? This is the happiest Brock Boeser has looked in a Vancouver Canucks sweater in years. And after all the turmoil, all the disappointment of him not getting 30 goals, not being the rookie Boeser that we saw in his 2017-18 year, not doing this, not doing that, not getting better, not getting faster, to finally have a breakout like this at the start of 23-24 is the best thing you could have asked for. And we already made a few videos throughout the offseason talking about how rookie Boeser could potentially be back if Boeser is in a more motivated spot, if he's got better training. And, I mean, look, it's only been one game, but after one game, the guy's literally the top point scorer and goal scorer in the league. So if there's a time to give the guy props for having a great offseason and for showing up to camp, doing really well in the preseason, having that playmaking edge, and then starting to score out goals in the regular season too, this is as better a time as any to congratulate Brock Boeser and to wish for the best to come. If Brock Boeser ends up getting himself, let's just say he gets 30 goals, because that was the marker that everybody was interested in seeing him hit ever since his rookie season 7 years ago. If he gets that 30-goal marker and he blasts by it, let's say he gets Pettersson-Miller type goal numbers, Kuzmenko goal numbers, let's say 35 plus, then all of a sudden Brock Boeser is worth that $6.65 million AAV contract that he's got till 2025. There was a big issue with that because, they signed him, maybe it's a little bit of an overpay, but it's not really an overpay if he fulfills his potential, but he's really not doing that because he's starting out slow. Hey, screw that. The guy's number one in the NHL in goals right now. Or at least after the first game. Of course, things are a little bit different. The Canucks play the Oilers once again in Edmonton on Saturday, so hopefully we'll see the 8-goal marker reached by Brock in this upcoming game. Of course, though, Leon, McDavid, these guys are probably pretty angry with how they got embarrassed in Vancouver to start out the season, so I would not be surprised if the Oilers came out with a little bit more bite and a little bit more flair. But the Vancouver Canucks just need to match that, and if my fantasy team is the saving grace that forces these guys to do that, then, hey, please let that be. If you missed the post-game review of the Canucks and the Oilers, you would have saw that, yeah, my fantasy team with all the other hockey YouTubers in our YouTubers League, I took Pettersson, Hughes, Miller, Kuzmenko, and a bunch of other former Canucks, Toffoli, Markstrom, McCann. I'm doing pretty alright so far because, Miller, Petey, Hughes, Kuzmenko, they had a great game, but yeah, that's one game out of 82. Hopefully Boeser can continue to score 4 goals every game for the rest of the season and break Gretzky's record in the process. Screw Ovechkin, it's all about Boeser, right? So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the rejuvenation, the revival, the reincarnation of Brock Boeser in 2023-2024? I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.